I'm Jack Thompson, just a regular guy from a small town in Ohio. Been married to Sarah for 10 years, stepdad to her daughter, Emma, since she was 6. Father's Day this year hit me like a freight train, and not in a good way. I'd spent a decade pouring my heart into this family, coaching Emma's soccer games, fixing Sarah's car, paying for everything from braces to ballet lessons. But that Sunday morning, everything changed. I got up early, like always, and made breakfast. Pancakes with blueberries, Emma's favorite when she was little. I even set the table with those cloth napkins Sarah likes. Sarah wandered in around 9, eyes glued to her phone, sipping coffee without a word. Emma shuffled down at 10, headphones on, barely glancing at me. I didn't expect a parade, but maybe a happy Father's Day, Jack, would have been nice. Instead, Emma slid an envelope across the table, didn't even look up from her Instagram feed, and mumbled, "There you go." I figured it was a card, maybe a goofy one. My heart lifted a bit. Hey, she remembered. Then I opened it. The card was plain, just a generic Father's Day on the front. Inside, in Emma's messy handwriting, it read, "You're not my dad, and you're basically useless." My chest tightened. I looked at her, but she was already halfway out of the room, phone in hand. Sarah, sitting across from me, snorted so hard her coffee nearly came out her nose. "Oh, come on, Jack, it's just a joke. Don't be such a baby." Then she went back to scrolling. A joke? I've shelled out 90 grand a year for Emma's private school. I've put $300 a month into her college fund since Sarah, and I said, I do. I taught her to ride a bike, stayed up late building her science fair projects, and never blinked when she dented my truck last summer. But I didn't say any of that. I just sat there, staring at the card, feeling like the world's biggest idiot. That night, I took them to the fanciest place in town, Luigi's. Had to book it a month out, cost me $170, plus a $40 tip. The whole dinner, they were on their phones, giggling at something I wasn't part of. At one point, Emma showed Sarah a video, and they laughed until tears rolled. I asked what was funny. Sarah waved me off. "You wouldn't get it, Jack." Emma rolled her eyes and said the place was lame, and I always picked old people spots. No thank you. No eye contact. Nothing. We drove home in silence. That night, I couldn't sleep. Sarah was out cold, but I stared at the ceiling, the fan spinning like my thoughts. Was this my life now? 10 years of being the bank, the driver, the fix-it guy, but never the husband, never the dad? I thought about the time I drove 6 hours to get Emma from summer camp when she got sick, the birthday parties I planned, the nights I stayed up listening to her cry about her real dad who never showed. And for what? To be told I'm useless? The next morning, I called my buddy Mike. He's been through a rough divorce, so I figured he'd get it. I spilled everything, sitting in my truck outside the hardware store where I work. Mike didn't sugarcoat it. "Man, they're walking all over you. You're just now noticing." His words hit hard. I started tallying things up. Last year, I paid for Emma's $4,000 trip to France with her art club. I bought Sarah a new laptop when hers crashed. I covered the mortgage, the bills, everything. Even though Sarah's boutique is raking in cash now. I haven't bought myself a new pair of boots in 3 years, but they get new clothes every month. I put my plans to take night classes on hold to pay for Emma's tutoring. The more I thought about it, the madder I got. Not just about the money, but the respect. Or the lack of it. That night, Sarah asked why I was quiet. I shrugged, said I was tired. She didn't care enough to ask more. The next day, I took a personal day from work, didn't tell her, and went to see a financial planner. Not Mike, someone neutral. What I learned made my blood boil. I was footing 85% of our expenses, even though Sarah's income isn't far off mine now. Her struggling boutique? Not struggling anymore. But we never changed how we split things. I'd been pouring money into Emma's future while Sarah spent hers on spa days and new handbags. That's when I knew I had to do something. Not sure what yet, but Father's Day was the last straw. I wasn't just a stepdad or a husband anymore. I was a man who'd had enough. After that Father's Day gut punch, I couldn't shake the feeling I'd been played for a fool. I'm Jack Thompson, a hardware store manager in Ohio, married to Sarah for 10 years, stepdad to Emma since she was 6. That card Emma tossed at me, saying I was useless, and Sarah laughing it off like it was nothing. It lit a fire in me. I wasn't just hurt. I was done being the doormat. The day after I saw the financial planner, I started making moves. I didn't tell Sarah. She was too busy planning her next shopping trip to notice me acting different. I called my buddy Mike again, this time from the back of the store during my lunch break. He's the practical one, always has a plan. I told him what the planner said. I was carrying 85% of our household costs while Sarah's boutique was pulling in nearly as much as my salary. Mike didn't mince words. "Jack, you're not their husband or dad, you're their ATM. Time to shut it down." I spent that afternoon in my truck, scribbling in a notebook. I listed every bill I paid. Mortgage, Emma's private school tuition, utilities, car insurance, even the streaming services they couldn't live without. Then I listed what Sarah covered. Her car payment, some groceries, and her gym membership. The gap was insane. I was bleeding cash to keep them comfortable while Sarah's money went to new dresses and weekend brunches with her friends. I wasn't just mad about the dollars, it was the way they treated me like I didn't matter. First thing I did was open a new bank account at a different bank. one Sarah didn't know about. I called my boss and had my paycheck rerouted there. Took a couple days to set up, but it felt like planting a flag. Next, I went through every auto payment tied to my old account. I moved my personal stuff, my truck loan, my phone bill, my credit card, to the new account. The joint bills, like the mortgage and utilities, I left alone for now. I wasn't trying to screw anybody over, just stop bankrolling their lifestyle. I took a few days off work, told my boss I had personal stuff to sort out. He didn't ask questions, just nodded. I used the time to meet with the financial planner again. His name was Tom, a no-nonsense guy who looked like he'd seen 100 guys like me. He laid out my situation plain. My name was on everything big, the house, the cars, the loans. Sarah's credit was shaky when we met, so I'd signed for it all. Tom's advice was clear. Don't do anything rash, just protect yourself. He helped me pull reports on our accounts and debts. Seeing it all in black and white made it real. I'd been propping up a life that didn't value me. That weekend, I packed a bag and headed to Mike's place, a small apartment across town. I didn't tell Sarah where I was going. When she texted, asking why I wasn't home, I just said, out for a bit. She replied, okay, and that was it. No questions, no concern. Mike and I cracked open some beers and played video games like we used to before I got married. He asked me a question that stuck. If you were single tomorrow, what would you do? I didn't have an answer at first. I'd spent so long being Jack the provider that I'd forgotten what I wanted. But the question kept rattling in my head. By Monday, I was back at work, but I wasn't the same guy. I stopped answering Sarah's text right away. When she called, I let it go to voicemail. The first sign of trouble came a week later. Sarah called, all huffy, saying her credit card got declined at some fancy shoe store. I said I was busy and would look into it. I didn't. A few days later, the joint account dipped low. The mortgage cleared, but her auto payment for her yoga studio membership bounced. She texted me a dozen times, asking what was going on. I didn't reply. By the second week, things got heated. Emma's school sent an email about her tuition being late. Sarah forwarded it to me with a single word, fix. I ignored it. She called me at work, yelling so loud I had to step outside. Jack, what's wrong with you? Why is there no money in the account? I kept my voice calm. I made some changes to my banking. We need to talk about how we split things. She went off, calling me selfish, saying I was ruining Emma's life. I told her I'd meet her when I was ready, not over the phone. Then I hung up and went to Mike's. That night, Mike poured me a whiskey and said, you're doing the right thing, but it's gonna get uglier before it gets better. He was right. Sarah's text went from mad to panicked. She asked if I was okay, if I was cheating, if I'd lost my mind. I finally texted back. I'm fine. We need to rethink our finances. I'm not okay with the current setup. She called again. I didn't pick up. Instead, I sent, in person, with numbers. Not over the phone. That shut her up for a day. I wasn't trying to hurt them. I just wanted respect, a say in my own life. For the first time in 10 years, I felt like I was taking control. But I knew the storm was coming, and I had to be ready. I'm Jack Thompson, stuck in the middle of a mess I didn't see coming. 10 years married to Sarah, stepdad to Emma since she was 6, and now I'm crashing at my buddy Mike's place after Father's Day blew up in my face. That card from Emma calling me useless, Sarah laughing it off, and years of being their personal bank, it woke me up. I'd stopped paying for their lifestyle, moved my money to a new account, and now the fallout was hitting hard. 2 weeks after I changed my banking, Sarah was losing it. Her credit card kept getting declined, bills were piling up, and Emma's private school was sending overdue notices. She'd been texting and calling nonstop, swinging between anger and worry. I'd been dodging her, staying at Mike's, but I knew we had to talk eventually. I wasn't running away. I just wanted to do it on my terms, with facts, not emotions. So, I agreed to meet her at a diner near Mike's, a quiet spot where we could hash things out without her making a scene. I got there early, grabbed a booth in the back, and pulled out my laptop. I'd spent hours putting together a spreadsheet. Every expense I covered, from the mortgage to Emma's art classes, next to what Sarah paid, which was barely anything. I added our incomes, mine from the hardware store, hers from her boutique, which was doing better than she let on. The numbers didn't lie. I was carrying 85% of the load, even though she made almost as much as me now. Sarah walked in looking frazzled. Her hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, and she had bags under her eyes. For a second, I felt a pang of guilt. Then I remembered the Father's Day card and her coffee-spitting laugh. She slid into the booth, didn't order anything, and started talking fast. Jack, what's going on? You're scaring me. The school's calling, my card's not working, and you're just gone. Are you having a breakdown or something? I didn't bite. I opened my laptop, turned it toward her, and pointed at the spreadsheet. This is what's going on. Look at the numbers. I pay for almost everything. House, school, bills, Emma's trips. You cover your car and some groceries. Your boutique's doing fine, Sarah, but you're not pitching in. I'm done being the only one holding this up. She stared at the screen, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. Then she went on the attack. You're trying to control me with money. This is financial abuse, Jack. You can't just cut us off like this. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was so absurd. How's it abuse to stop paying for stuff you should be covering? You make good money. Why am I still footing 85% of our life? She didn't have an answer, just crossed her arms and looked away. So, I pulled out another document. This one listing everything I'd paid for Emma over the years, $30,000 for school tuition annually, $5,000 for her French trip, hundreds for soccer gear, dance lessons. And that college fund I'd been building since we got married, now sitting at $25,000. This is what I've done for Emma, I said. And I get a card saying I'm useless? You laugh and call me a baby? I'm done, Sarah. Her face softened, but only for a moment. She leaned forward, voice low. You're blowing the Father's Day thing out of proportion. Emma's a teenager. She's moody. You're taking it too personally. I shook my head. It's not just the card. It's the years of being ignored, disrespected, treated like a wallet. I want respect. I want to be a husband, a dad, not a paycheck. I laid out my terms. We split all expenses based on our incomes, roughly 60-40 since I make a bit more. She starts contributing to Emma's college fund. We go to family counseling. No excuses. Emma gets a part-time job if she wants extras like new clothes or concert tickets. And Sarah comes clean about those late-night texts with her work friend, Brian, the one she's always messaging. I'd seen enough to know something was off. Sarah's eyes widened at that last part. She stammered, "It's just work stuff, Jack. You're paranoid." I didn't argue, just said, "Be honest, or this doesn't work." She didn't agree to anything right then, just said she needed time to think. I nodded, closed my laptop, and left. As I walked out, she called after me, "Are you leaving us?" I didn't turn around, just said, "That's up to you." Back at Mike's, I felt lighter but uneasy. I'd drawn a line, but what came next? Sarah's texts slowed down, but they got sharper. One said, "You're punishing Emma for my mistakes." Another, "You're acting like a stranger." I didn't reply. Mike clapped me on the shoulder and said, "You're doing good, man. She's just not used to you having a spine." A few days later, I went home while Sarah and Emma were out. I grabbed more clothes, my tools, and my old guitar I hadn't played in years. I changed the passwords on our streaming accounts, petty, sure, but it felt good. I canceled a bunch of subscriptions we didn't need, like that wine club Sarah signed us up for. The house felt empty, like it wasn't mine anymore. That hit harder than I expected. Then Emma texted me, out of the blue. First time in months she'd reached out. "Why aren't you home? Mom says you're mad at us." I stared at that message for a long time. How do you explain this to a 16-year-old? I texted back, "I'm not mad, Emma. Just figuring out what's fair. I'll always be here for you." No response. I didn't expect one, but it still stung. I knew this was just the start. Sarah wasn't going to roll over and agree to my terms. But for the first time in years, I wasn't backing down. I was Jack Thompson, not just Sarah's husband or Emma's stepdad. And I was ready to fight for myself. I'm Jack Thompson, a guy who thought he had a solid life in Ohio until Father's Day turned it upside down. Married to Sarah for 10 years, stepdad to Emma since she was 6. I've been the one paying for everything, house, school, you name it. That card from Emma saying I was useless, with Sarah laughing it off, was the last straw. I'd moved my money to a new account, stopped footing their bills, and was staying at my buddy Mike's place. Sarah was freaking out, and I was done being her doormat. 3 weeks after our diner showdown, things were getting intense. Sarah's texts were a roller coaster, angry 1 minute, begging the next. She'd call at all hours, leaving voicemails saying I was abandoning Emma, that I needed to fix this mess. I kept my responses short. "We'll talk when you're ready to split things fairly." The school kept emailing about Emma's overdue tuition, and Sarah forwarded everyone with snarky comments like, "Happy now?" I didn't bite. I was sticking to my plan, no matter how loud she got. I was still at Mike's, sleeping on his lumpy couch, but I'd started to enjoy the freedom. I could watch baseball without Sarah changing the channel, eat pizza at midnight, and not worry about tiptoeing around her moods. Mike kept me grounded, saying, "You're not the bad guy here, Jack. They just don't like losing their free ride." He was right, but it didn't make the guilt go away. I kept thinking about Emma 16, caught in the middle. Was I hurting her to prove a point? One night, I went back to the house to grab some tools I'd left in the garage. Sarah was at some boutique event, and I figured Emma was at a friend's. I was wrong. As I pulled into the driveway, I saw her sitting on the front porch, headphones on, staring at her phone. She looked up, surprised, and for a second, we just stared at each other. I expected her to bolt inside, but she didn't. She pulled off her headphones and said, "Hey Jack, you moving out for good?" Her voice wasn't angry, just quiet, like she was afraid of the answer. I sat down on the steps, keeping some distance. "Not moving out, Emma. Just staying with Mike while I figure things out." She nodded, picking at her shoelaces. Then she said, "Mom says you stopped paying for stuff because you hate us." My heart sank. I took a deep breath. "I don't hate you, kid. Never will. I just want things to be fair. I've been paying for everything, and it's not right. Your mom needs to step up too." Emma didn't look at me, but she asked, "Is it because of that stupid card?" I hesitated. "The card hurt, yeah? But it's more than that. It's about respect. I've been here for you, but it feels like I'm invisible." She was quiet for a long time, then mumbled, "I didn't mean it. Mom said it'd be funny." That hit me hard. Sarah put her up to it. I kept my voice steady. "I know you're in a tough spot, Emma. I'm not going anywhere, okay? But things have to change." She nodded, and for the first time in years, she didn't roll her eyes. After that, I felt a spark of hope, but with Sarah, it was all-out war. She finally agreed to meet again, this time at a coffee shop near her boutique. I brought my laptop with the same spreadsheet, plus a new one, a proposed budget splitting expenses 60-40 based on our incomes. I also had a list of terms, family counseling, her contributing to Emma's college fund, and no more shady texts with Brian. She showed up late, looking like she hadn't slept in days. She didn't even glance at the spreadsheets, just launched into a speech about how I was ruining her life, how Emma was stressed, how I was being petty over a dumb prank. I cut her off. Sarah, this isn't about the card. It's about 10 years of me carrying the load while you and Emma treat me like a nobody. Look at the numbers. You make good money. Why am I still paying for your spa days and Emma's trips? She tried to flip it, saying I was controlling, that I'd always been too serious. I slid the budget across the table. This is fair. 60-40, counseling, and you come clean about Brian. Take it or leave it. She got red in the face, said I was blowing everything out of proportion. Then she stormed out, leaving her coffee untouched. I sat there, sipping mine, feeling oddly calm. I'd said my piece. The ball was in her court. Back at Mike's, I started making longer-term plans. I met with Tom, the financial planner, again. He suggested separating more of my finances, like taking my name off joint credit cards. I also started looking at apartments, just in case. I wasn't ready to give up on my family, but I wasn't going back to the old way either. For the first time in years, I bought something for myself, a new leather jacket, nothing fancy, but it felt like a small victory. Then Sarah's text changed. She went from raging to pleading, saying she missed me, that Emma was asking where I was. I doubted that last part, but it still tugged at me. Was I being too hard? Should I give her a chance? Mike said to hold firm, that she was just panicking because the money was gone. I wasn't sure what to believe, but I knew one thing. I wasn't the same Jack who'd let Father's Day slide. I was ready for whatever came next. I'm Jack Thompson, a guy from Ohio who's been through the ringer. Married to Sarah for 10 years, stepdad to Emma since she was 6, I thought I was building a family. Then Father's Day hit me with a card from Emma calling me useless, Sarah's laughter, and the realization I'd been their bank for a decade. I'd moved my money to a new account, stopped paying their way, and was crashing at my buddy Mike's place. Sarah was in panic mode, and after our last coffee shop showdown, I was bracing for what came next. A month after I laid out my terms, split expenses 60-40, family counseling, Sarah coming clean about her work friend Brian. Things were at a boiling point. Sarah's texts were relentless, a mix of apologies and accusations. She'd call during my lunch break at the hardware store, leaving voicemails about how Emma was falling apart without me. I didn't buy it, but it gnawed at me. Emma's porch conversation, where she admitted Sarah told her to write that card, stuck in my head. Was Sarah manipulating her again? I kept working with Tom, my financial planner, to untangle my money from Sarah's. I removed my name from joint credit cards and froze our shared savings account, just to be safe. Tom warned me Sarah might try something drastic, like running up debt in my name, since the house and cars were under it. I started checking my credit reports daily, paranoid but prepared. At Mike's, I was settling into a routine. Work, gym, late-night talks over beers. Mike kept saying, "You're waking up, man. Don't go back to sleep." He was right, but the pull of 10 years with Sarah and Emma was strong. Then the bomb dropped. I was at Mike's, scrolling through emails, when I noticed one from our bank, sent to Sarah but forwarded to our shared account by mistake. It was a confirmation for a $15,000 personal loan, approved in her name 2 days ago. I dug deeper, checking our joint account statements online. Found charges from months back, dinners at places we never went, a spa weekend I didn't know about, and, worst of all, a $2,000 payment to a family law firm, dated a month before Father's Day. Sarah had been planning to leave me, and that card was part of her exit strategy. I called Mike over, showed him the evidence. He whistled low. "She's been playing you, Jack. This ain't just about money, she's got a whole plan." I felt sick, not just betrayed but stupid for believing we could fix this. I called Tom, who said to protect my assets immediately. I transferred what little was left in our joint account to my new one, leaving just enough for the mortgage. I also contacted a lawyer, a guy Tom recommended, to start exploring my options. I wasn't ready to file for divorce, but I needed to know where I stood. The next day, I texted Sarah, "We need to talk. Now, I know about the loan and the lawyer." Her response was instant. "It's not what you think. Come home, please. I'll explain." I agreed to meet at the house, but I brought Mike as backup. He waited in his truck, just in case. Walking into my own home felt like stepping into a stranger's life. Sarah was in the living room, pacing, her face pale. Emma was at a friend's. Thank God, she didn't need to see this. Sarah started with excuses. The loan was for business expenses for her boutique. The lawyer? Just a consultation because she was scared I'd leave first. I showed her the bank statements, the spa charges, the dinners. "Explain these, then. And while you're at it, tell me about Brian." Her eyes filled with tears, but I wasn't falling for it. She admitted to an emotional thing with Brian, nothing physical, she swore, but they'd been planning a future together. The loan was her backup plan, to get an apartment if I fought the divorce. The Father's Day card? Her idea, to push me away so I wouldn't suspect her plans. I didn't yell. I just felt empty. You were gonna blindside me, Sarah. After 10 years, this is what I get. She sobbed, saying she was unhappy, that I was too good, and it made her feel trapped. Trapped by me paying for everything? I took off my wedding ring, set it on the coffee table. I'm staying at Mike's. You've got 2 weeks to figure out your next move. I'll cover my half of the mortgage, nothing else. She begged me to stay, but I walked out, Mike's truck idling in the driveway. That night, I didn't sleep. I kept replaying every moment of our marriage, wondering where I went wrong. But the next morning, something shifted. I wasn't just a husband or stepdad anymore, I was Jack. And I deserved better. I'm Jack Thompson, trying to piece my life back together in Ohio after my world imploded. 10 years married to Sarah, stepdad to Emma since she was 6, and now I'm living at my buddy Mike's after learning Sarah was planning to ditch me. That Father's Day card from Emma, calling me useless, was Sarah's idea to push me away. I'd stopped funding their lifestyle, found out about Sarah's secret loan and lawyer, and told her she had 2 weeks to figure things out. I was done being their ATM, but I couldn't stop thinking about Emma. The day after our blowout, Sarah moved to her sister's place across town, taking half the furniture and her designer clothes. I moved back into the house, changed the locks, and reset the Wi-Fi. Small wins, but they felt huge. Sarah's texts slowed to a trickle, mostly about logistics like picking up her mail. I kept working at the hardware store, hitting the gym, and meeting with my lawyer, who said I had a strong case if it came to divorce, since my name was on everything. But my mind was on Emma. She was 16, stuck between her mom's mess and me trying to stand up for myself. A week later, Emma texted, "Mom told me she was gonna leave you. Is that why you're mad?" I stared at that message, my heart heavy. How do you explain this to a kid? I texted back, "I'm not mad at you, Emma. I found out about your mom's plans, and it hurt. I'm just trying to make things fair. You okay?" She didn't reply for hours, then sent, "This sucks." I couldn't argue with that. I asked if she wanted to come by the house. To my surprise, she said yes. Saturday morning, she showed up with a backpack, looking like she hadn't slept. We didn't talk much at first. I made her pancakes, like old times, and she ate in silence. Then she said, "I'm sorry about the card, Jack. Mom said it'd make you back off, that you didn't want to be my dad anymore." My throat tightened. "Emma, I've always wanted to be there for you. Your mom was wrong to put that on you." She nodded, eyes on her plate, and mumbled, "I didn't know she was lying." That broke something in me, not anger, but sadness for her. I suggested we start counseling, just the two of us, to sort through the mess. She shrugged, but agreed. We found a therapist, a kind woman named Linda, who specialized in teens. Our first session was awkward, Emma fidgeting the whole time, but she opened up about feeling caught between Sarah and me, about missing her bio dad who'd vanished years ago. I talked about wanting to be her dad, not just a stepdad, but needing respect. It was a start. Sarah wasn't thrilled about the counseling, saying I was turning Emma against her. I ignored her. Emma started spending weekends at the house, and we fell into a new rhythm. One night, she asked if we could fix up the backyard shed, a project we talked about when she was younger. We spent a Sunday painting it blue, blasting her favorite music, getting more paint on ourselves than the wood. She laughed for the first time in months, and it felt like a gift. Meanwhile, Sarah was struggling. Her boutique wasn't covering her new expenses, and she got a second job waitressing. She texted me, asking to talk without lawyers. We met at a park, neutral ground. She looked worn out, no trace of her usual polish. She admitted she'd ended things with Brian, that the loan was a mistake, that she'd been unhappy but didn't know how to tell me. "You were always so perfect, Jack. I felt like I couldn't measure up, so I pushed you away." I listened, but I wasn't swayed. "You planned to leave me, Sarah. You used Emma to hurt me. That's not love." She cried, asked if we could try counseling. I said I'd think about it, but only for Emma's sake. Back home, Emma gave me a drawing she'd made, a sketch of the shed, with us painting it. Inside, she'd written, "Thanks for not giving up on me." I hugged her, and she didn't pull away. For the first time, I felt like a dad, not just a guy paying the bills. But Sarah's words lingered. Could we fix this? Did I even want to? I'm Jack Thompson, wrapping up a year that turned my life upside down in Ohio. 10 years married to Sarah, stepdad to Emma since she was 6. I went from thinking I had a family to finding out Sarah was planning to leave me, using a cruel Father's Day card from Emma to push me away. I stopped funding their lifestyle, moved to my buddy Mike's, and faced the truth about Sarah's secret loan and affair. Now, months later, I'm in a new place, literally and figuratively, and ready to close this chapter. After Sarah admitted her plans, we started family counseling, but it was clear her heart wasn't in it. She'd show up late, make excuses, and deflect blame. The therapist, Linda, called her out, saying she needed to own her actions. Sarah quit after 3 sessions, saying it was too hard. I kept going with Emma, and it made all the difference. Emma opened up about her anger at Sarah, her guilt over the card, and her fear I'd leave too. I told her I was her dad, step or not, and I wasn't going anywhere. She started calling me Jack, instead of stepdad, and it felt right. Sarah moved into a small apartment, scraping by with her boutique and waitressing jobs. We agreed to a legal separation, splitting Emma's expenses 50-50. I kept the house, since my name was on the mortgage, and Emma stayed with me most nights. Sarah saw her on weekends, but their relationship was strained. Emma told me Sarah kept promising to fix things, but never followed through. I didn't badmouth Sarah, I wanted Emma to figure it out herself. Emma and I rebuilt our bond. We painted the shed, started a vegetable garden, and even took a road trip to Cleveland for a baseball game. She got a part-time job at a coffee shop, grumbling about rude customers but proud of her paychecks. One night, she brought home a Father's Day card handmade, with a drawing of us gardening. Inside, it read, "You're my real dad, Jack. Thanks for everything." I teared up, and she laughed, calling me sappy. It was the best gift I'd ever gotten. I didn't reconcile with Sarah. The trust was gone, and I couldn't unsee her betrayal. We finalized the divorce 6 months ago, a quiet process handled by my lawyer. Sarah didn't fight for much, maybe because she knew she'd lose. I sold the house, too many memories, and bought a smaller place nearby, a fixer-upper with a big yard for Emma's garden. I started taking night classes and business management, something I'd put off for years. I even joined a local band, playing guitar at bars on weekends. It wasn't the life I'd planned, but it was mine. Sarah's changed some. She's in therapy now, working on herself, and she's better with Emma, keeping promises more often. Last month, she asked to meet for coffee. She apologized, no excuses this time, and said she'd always regret how she treated me. I nodded, wished her well, and left. I didn't hate her, I just didn't need her anymore. Emma's thriving. Her grades are up, she's got new friends, and she's talking about college, maybe art school. We had a family dinner last week, just the two of us, at a burger joint downtown. No phones, just talking and laughing. She asked if I'd ever remarry. I said maybe, but I wasn't in a rush. Good, she said. You deserve someone awesome. Looking back, Father's Day was the worst and best thing that happened. It broke me, but it forced me to stand up. I lost a marriage but gained a daughter and myself. I'm Jack Thompson, a dad, a guitarist, a guy with dreams again. Life's messy, but it's mine, and I'm okay with that. Thanks for listening, folks. You helped me see I wasn't alone.